And I am a freedom fighter. I am sending this video out to call on the youth, the Somali youth, in the future, the African youth. And I want us to call us together, Somalis to start off with, and I want to tell us, and I want to tell you, I want us to take over the world. You might listen to this and it might sound a bit strange, but I'll tell you how we can do it. And this is basically the idea with the video, and I would like to hear you guys' input. But the idea. So I've written a few things up. Let us take over the world. Number one, group consciousness. And then in blue, SomaliWeyn. This is the only way, literally the only way, that Somalia can get out of the pit that they're in now. If the 5 points of the star came together, Somalia and Somaliland, Djibouti, Ogaden, and then southern Somalia, also known as northern Kenya. All the Somali-speaking territories need to come together as one. We need to put all our resources together, and we need this group consciousness. And the thing is, I know we can do it, because if you think how strong this Qabil mentality is that we have now, it is only that strong because it had to be. If there was no state, and the only people that you could rely on was your family, then obviously Qabil would be strengthened. But our point is now that if we are to compete in a global economy, in a global market, then Somalia needs to become one Qabil amongst all the other tribes. Let's take Europe. Europe is many different tribes, but they came together, European Union. That is their group consciousness. NATO, group consciousness. UN, that's pretty much theirs. They're trying to include others, but that's once again, that's them coming together for the benefit of the whole. So we need to come together. And I know we can do it, because you have to think, as I was saying, the sense of identity we feel with Qabil now and the strength could be turned into nationalism. What made Somalia one of the strongest military mights and countries in the 80s and 70s? Why was Mogadishu called the Pearl of Africa? Because Somalis were enthusiastically nationalistic. And that's what we have to get back to. Secondly, okay, so I want to create this hypothetical situation which we can turn into reality, really. Let's say that people watch this video, people share this video, people agree with me, okay? And now I'm mainly speaking to the youth because it is us that inherit the future. We create the Horn of Africa Economic Order. And this would be a holdings company. So literally we come together and we create one company. Once we have created this company, we then raise funds to fund Hale supermarkets simultaneously worldwide. Okay, so basically let me just explain the idea of this. To become a player in the world market, to become an economic power. You need an economy. You need an economic basis. And basically, we create this company to fund supermarkets. It's very simple. Because now, in the diaspora, we have many Somalis in Europe and in America. So let's say in Europe and America, there's probably a couple of 100,000 Somalis. Yeah, I don't know, every day it's being bought. Hilib every day. Okay, Buscuit every day. My point is that we collect that money. So work doesn't really need to be done. We just have to make sure that we spend our money with ourselves. So that's the first thing we would do. Okay? If we want to take over the world, first we catch our own money. So let's take let's take London for an example. Okay? Let's say we're in Southall and we open up a supermarket. And in this supermarket, when I talk supermarket, I'm not talking greengrocers. I'm talking proper. Okay? I'm talking think Walmart, Tesco kind. You know, I'm talking big place. So we have normal food in there, but then we also create an IT and computer department within that supermarket. So anything that we need, we can get in there. So we collect all our money. And if we were to do this simultaneously worldwide, so imagine we raise funds, okay? Let's say 1 year we used to raise funds. And let's say we would raise $8 million. Let's say that in a year. With $8 million, we could maybe fund, I don't know, now we're going into hypotheticals, but we can say 1,000 shops or supermarkets. Maybe a bit less if we also have to stock them. But let's say we have 800 supermarkets. With those 800 supermarkets in a year, the amount of money they could catch, they could retain, could be I'm not even lying to you, it could be upwards of $50 million a year. Probably even more. Because you have to think, if we made this, it was not only be us that would be shopping in there, everybody was shopping in there. So we could probably raise that figure. So think if we did this in London, we did this in Minnesota, we did this in Paris, Germany, Copenhagen, Stockholm, all these countries simultaneously around the world. And now we open the supermarkets in highly populated Somali areas. Most importantly, we then hire Somali youth from the local community to work there. So in these supermarkets that we have funded, that we have opened, that we have created, we now hire the Somali youth from the local community to work there. So if we have 800 shops, and in those shops we can say on average need to work 20 people, that's 20 times 800, which is 16,000 people we have just hired. We then make sure, and this is the most important, you can see that, right? Yeah. We then make sure the whole community shops there, and only there. We will have to make sure that you shop there, your little brother shops there, your older brother shops there, your sister shops there, Hoyo, Abo, Abtir, Habo, Eto, Avero, everyone has to shop there. Okay? So let's say you're walking down the street, okay, you're thirsty, you need some water. The Somali supermarket might be 10 minutes away, but you have a shop right here. You need to get that water and walk your ass 10 minutes. It would have to be like that. All the money. So let's say that we were to do this, okay? So let's say, hypothetically, it would take us a year to raise the money. It would then take us a year to create the shops. And it would have to be simultaneously. Okay? So like just imagine that we open the Horn of Africa Economic Order shops simultaneously worldwide on the same day. All these shops open. Okay, that is how we do it. After a year, shopping in there, boom, boom, we hold the money. Everybody hold the money, every shop. And then we would create investment groups and guilds at home and abroad. So, let's say after a year, we have raised $60 million. With those 60 million, we create investment groups. The investment groups would be average people and visionaries. Let's put it like that. People that see a future. That say, okay, we have 60 million, what can we do? And the guilds are basically associations. So imagine, because there's a lot of unemployment generally in the world. But my point is, like any country, like in France, who is it that hire French people? It's the French state. In England, who is it that hire the English people? It's the English state. It's the English businesses, the English economies. Why can't we hire our own people? So we make guilds. So we say, okay, we go around the world. We say, who studied business? Hey, yeah, and then we say, okay, you go into that association or that guild. Then we say, who studied IT? We say, okay, you go into that guild. And then we say, who studied nursing and doctorate? Yeah, sound a bit weird. No one say that. Studied to become a doctor. What's that? And they go into another guild. So then you create all these separate guilds and get all these professionals. Then you take the money, you take the ideas, and then we create. And it is at this point, because basically, my agenda with this is basically, I just want us to collect the money to start off with. And then everybody will all come with ideas on how we can make Somalia great. But my idea goes as following. I have written a few things down. So you have to think, we would have to build year upon year. So we'll maybe get 60 million one year, the next year 70, the next year maybe 60 again. But this will only be one aspect of the business. So I've written a few things down, as you can see here. I have in-house and out-house. In-house is basically in the diaspora, out-house is in Somalia. And that's the way we see it, as in the diaspora. If there's Somalia, they will see in-house as their house and out-house as the diaspora. But in-house, first of all, we would need to fund our own schools. Fundamentally, this would have to be number one. We would have to educate our own girls and boys along an African-centered education. And then, secondly, we would fund family centers. So we would have centers for mothers and children and men. They would not have to be in the same place, but they would have to be in the same building, because young children would have to see both parents together, or male and female. They will have center for kids. We could call that, obviously young children would be with the mothers, and the men, the kids could be, for example, we could say 9 to 12, and then you could have centers 13 to 15, 16 to 17, and then you can 18 plus. But minor details. We just need places where the youth and the older generation congregate. We need our own buildings. We need our own halls. We need our own cars, our own buses, etc., which we could all fund. And secondly, we would fund investment in respective markets. So for example, imagine you have a girl called Mona. She lives in Minnesota. And she has this brilliant idea. And basically she's just like, okay, if we just did this, we could make money off this idea. So basically, she would go to a board, she would pitch her idea. If the board likes her idea, we will use some of this money from the you go to investment group, really, this is what we called it. and she would go to them, pitch the idea, and then she would get funding, plus she would then get help from the business guild. So all these people that we congregated or we put together in one society, we would then take a couple of them, and then they will then help Mona to make her business a reality. But this business she's now made will be a franchise. This means that the Horn of Africa Economic Order would own. This could also be up for discussion, but I reckon it should be 70-30. So we own 70% of the business, and Mona then owns 30%. This means that we will pay her a salary, plus she will get 30% of the profits of that business. So let's say she opens her first one in Minnesota, it becomes successful. She gets 30% of the profits from there. Then let's say she opens up one in New York, Brooklyn. She opens up one there. Boom. She then gets 30% from that shop as well. She then opens up one in California. She gets 30% from one there. She then opens up one in Toronto, Ottawa. She comes to Europe. She opens one in London. She opens one in Birmingham, etc. So as long as it's a good idea, we still own 70%, but Mona now getting 30% from maybe 20 different shops. Mona has just become a millionaire. And this is how we do it. So you have to think, we get 70%, she still gets a wage, plus she's making a profit. So that's in-house. This is what we do in the diaspora. If we then talk out-house, the majority of this money in the first couple of years, depending on how long it should take, I don't think it should take that long, water and food. This is the main things that we need to sort out first of all. We will make sure that everybody has access to water in Somalia. And the thing is, there's a lot of water in Somalia. It's just groundwater. You have to think there's a lot of flash floods at the moment. Well, there's flash floods pretty much every year when it rains. And when there's no vegetation to suck the water in, the water just goes into the ground. And it just seeps through, and it becomes underground water, or groundwater as it's called. So there's a lot of groundwater, I believe, and we just need to make sure that that is available to the people. Food, we will need to come up with a clever farming system that is sustainable, where we can feed the masses. So we use our engineering guilds for the water. We say, come up with a brilliant idea, here's some money, make it happen. Food, myself personally, I'm looking to study nature resources and eventually agriculture. So I will be in that guild. I'll be with some people in there, and we will try to make this food thing pop up. So after we got the fundamentals, we build factories. That is the first step. Because you have to think water and food is the survival. Every economy strength is based on its exports. How much do you sell to other nations? China is a superpower at the moment because it exports more than it imports. China is a superpower because everything, literally, just check in your room, everything that you have, most things, it will say made in China. That is why China is rich. China will make, let's say, X amount of, we can call it computers. So they will create 1,000 computers for maybe $3 million. They will then sell those 1,000. Okay, it probably needs to be more than 1,000, but they will sell it for a surplus, for a profit. So we would need to create factories and manufacture goods in Somalia, which we then would use to fill our own supermarkets with, and subsequently other supermarkets as well. And the things that we could make, it could literally be anything. It could be household goods, it could be ceramics, it could be glass, it could literally be whatever. We then use some of this money to create a fishing industry. Somalia, longest coast in Africa. We have many, many fish, many species. I think it was upwards of 300 different types of fish. So we create a fishing industry, and then we export that as well. We export into Africa and we export out of Africa. And with the agriculture, obviously we have planted wheat and grains, which once again we export into Africa and we export out of Africa. But one of the interesting things is we would plant acres upon acres of cotton fields. We would manufacture our own clothes. This is a dream of mine. I want my clothes to be made in Somalia. Okay, we all buy clothes, we all wear clothes. Why can't it be made in Somalia? So we have a little fashionista guild as well. Okay, and basically we would tell them design some clothes, we have some cotton, and then we would start dressing ourselves. Okay, and with the wheat and grains that we've also cultivated, we create food banks. A food bank basically is, imagine we dig into the ground, massive hole, we make an underground building, and we just fill it with grains and wheat, etc., etc. Hundreds and thousands of tons, and we will never go starving again. 250,000 in 2009, 2010, starved to death. It will never happen again. Food banks. And then now we step up our game. Okay, so hypothetically, say we did this, and we made factories and we start agriculture, and this has taken a couple of years. Okay, let's say we're up to the 5-year mark, maybe 6. It depends on how fast we go. We literally start from today. From I've come up with the idea, it depends on how far we can take it. But okay, we then step up our game. And once again, we get our engineering guilds, and we say, explore Somali oil fields. This is what will make Somalia a superpower. The oil that's in Somalia will make Somalia the first African superpower. The problem is that we already have vultures now, today, in Somalia, trying to get it on the cheap, because they see a disorganized little country. The state of in Mogadishu, the government there have promised people oil fields. Somaliland has promised people oil fields, and I don't blame them. If they can't fund it themselves, then they see they need money in as well. But my point is, we can do it ourselves. We can retrain the profit ourselves. Hypothetically, let's say that Somalia has $2 trillion worth of oil in the ground. If other people explore that oil for us, we might only see maybe half, maybe even less. My point is that if we were to do it ourselves, oh, how rich we could be. Okay, so let's say that we've looked into the oil fields, and I've also heard that it's surface oil, so it's not that deep underground. We explore the oil. We throw some money into that. With the money we've made of agriculture, with the money that we are retaining, with the investments, Mona, she's making us a lot of money. You know what I mean? We explore the oil, offshore and onshore. And the most important thing we have to do is we need oil refineries. Oil refineries basically, because now a lot of countries, the mistake Nigeria also made, which is one of the largest oil producing countries in Africa, is that they would get the raw oil up the ground, and then they would have to ship it to another country to refine it, and then they would then sell it from there. My point is that we need to get it out of the ground and refine it ourselves. So think of it like this. You can sell bread, minced beef, and salad separately for $5, or you can sell a burger for $12. My point is, we need to sell this burger for $12. We need to refine it, make it ourselves, and then we sell it. And with oil, you can buy anything. And once again, I told you oil will make Africa a superpower, or Somalia a superpower, because basically what we will do with the oil is we will buy a military. We will take barrels of oil and we will buy tanks, we will buy jets, we will get a military. That is one of the most important things. You need to be able to protect yourself. So once we have done that, and we make in a lovely profit of that, we then enter into iron ore mining. Iron ore mining is basically just to make iron. So we make our own steel, and with our own steel, we make our own cities. Imagine a skyscraper, massive skyscrapers made from the steel from the Somali ground. Just look at Dubai. Dubai was a desert, what, 30, 40 years ago? Probably even less. There was nothing there. Look at it now. Out of the sand came shining buildings. Why can't we do the same? We share the same oil. And then after we've made our own steel, we enter into uranium mining and enrichment, plus yttrium, which is another valuable mineral. But basically, with the uranium, it's highly valuable and it's a good source of energy. With very little uranium, you can make a lot of electricity. So with one nuclear reactor, we could literally power cities. Not even one city, we can power cities. And Somalia, I was checking it out, they say they might have up to 25% of the world's reserves. We wouldn't even need to use the oil. The oil could literally just be liquid cash for us, liquid gold. And then we just use the uranium. Once again, we need the science guild and the engineering guild to come together and then come up with a good idea. So let's say after we've done all this and all this, we might be up to, again, it depends on how fast we do it. But I reckon if this catches on and people are willing, because it depends, are people willing to get out of this position that we are now? Me, as a Somali man, it hurts me to see the state that we're in. We starve in Somalia, we poor here. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live like this. I don't want my kids to live like this. I don't want the future to be like this. And the only way we could do it is if we change. It is to change today. So this is my plan. This is how I see that we can get out of the problem that we're in without borrowing any money of the IMF, loan sharks, without asking for handouts, NGOs, all these things. We can literally do it all ourselves. But it depends. It depends on you. It depends on me. It depends on if we can see above the level we are now, if we can raise our consciousness, if we can see that we are all Somalis, that we are all suffering in the same way. It doesn't matter what Qabil that you're in. Nobody cares about that. They treat us all the same. My point is that Somalia was excluded before the introduction of the internet. We were literally excluded before the internet. The youth has arrived. Okay? We are in the diaspora. Or the people in the diaspora, we need to think of ourselves as we're in boarding school now. We are out here to work for Somalia. Okay? People are literally dying on boats trying to get out. trying to get themselves a future. The future belongs to us if we choose it.
أنا بدي أراحو وحنا جينا